Steve Ryder here. My selections for week 1 of the head-to-head competition. And my nap is Gulliver in the 3:15 at York, the Coral Sprint Trophy. He's won the last 2 renewals of this race and has had exactly the same prep again this year. In 2019, he finished 3rd at both the Curragh and Ayr before winning this race off a mark of 100. 2020, finished 11th at both the Curragh and Ayr before winning this off a mark of 102. This year, he finished 4th at the Curragh, 13th at Ayr, and runs in the race off exactly the same mark as last year of 102. He showed that he retains all of his ability by finishing 2nd in the Stewards' Cup at Goodwood earlier this season, and I think he's a great each-way bet with loads of extra places available. My next best is Glownthorne each way in the Dewhurst Stakes. That's at Newmarket at 225. Aidan O'Brien has won 5 out of the last 8 runnings of this, and I'm quite surprised that a once-raced Coolmore horse is such a big price for this. He made a winning debut at the Curragh in April over 6 furlongs, and the form of that race is working out really well. The second, Castle Star, won his next 2 starts and finished only half a length behind Perfect Power in the Middle Part Stakes at this track a couple of weekends ago. The absence is an obvious concern, but Connections did a similar thing with Tenebrism, who won the Cheveley Park Stakes at a price of 14-1 in impressive style following a similar absence. Obviously, Native Trail is going to prove hard to beat, but hopefully the 8 runners remain, and I think is a great each-way bet in this.
Hi guys, Dan Overall here for week 1 of the Twitter tournament. So we're going to go all the way up to Hexham for my nap, which comes in the 210. It's a horse called Gentleman Farmer, who hasn't actually been seen under rules since 2018, and he's clearly a bit delicate, but as a result he remains completely unexposed. But he did prove his well-being a few months back when bolting up in a point-to-point by 37 lengths in what was the quickest time of the day. Now, trainer Richard Hawker makes the 600-mile round trip up to Hexham with 2 horses, but Gentleman Farmer does look to be his better chance. And he has mentioned in the past that this horse is one that goes very well fresh, and he doesn't mind a bit of cut in the ground, so conditions should be in his favour. Now, he has won twice over hurdles under rules, latterly off a mark of 92, but he races off a mark of just 88 here today, and he is bred to make a better chaser, and he has plenty of point-to-point experience. So there's every chance that a mark of 88 could underestimate him in what is his first regulation start over fences. He does like to front run, but a few others in this race do also, which might be a slight issue from a tactical perspective, but if he can get to the front and adopt those front running tactics, I think he might be quite hard to pick back here. Back in a more conventional race with known horses for the next best, and that's going to come in Chepstow at the 225. And that's going to be the Mighty Don, which is going to be an each-way bet. Now, looking at this race, I think it's full of horses are on career-high marks or something to prove from a welfare perspective. So I think the Mighty Don makes a fair bit of each-way appeal here. Now, he won at this meeting last season where he gunned down in Rillo in what was quite a thorough staying performance. And that does remain his only win over fences thus far, but he's run plenty of credible races over fences since. He was second to Happy Go Lucky at Cheltenham in a novice chase. He shaped pretty well, I thought, in the National Hunt Chase at the festival, despite being outclassed. Can't really blame him too much for that performance in the end. And his last run stands out as well, as he looked like he was going to win, or at least go very, very close to winning in what was his first start in a handicap chase. Like, he led going into the second last, but made a race-ending blunder. The jockey lost his irons, and his chance was gone after that. He's only nudged up £1. In the context of this race, if he'd won, he might have gone up 5 or 6. So he looks fairly handicapped from where he is. And I think a strongly run 3 miles on good ground, and when he's fresh, because he has a good record fresh, is pretty much his ideal conditions. So it seems to be set up for a good run. His Achilles heel has been his jumping over fences, but I think there's evidence to suggest that's been improving. Like, until that error he made in his last race, I think his jumping's been fairly solid, much better than the table-like jumping we'd seen previously, which had really held him back. So I think if he can get into a rhythm like he has done in previous starts, his mark isn't prohibitive. I think he can run a good race. And he's the type that even if he doesn't win, you can definitely see him staying on at the end through beating horses and picking up some place money.
Here we are, week 1 of the Tipster Challenge, and hopefully us guys will be able to find you a winner or 2 to help line the pockets. Now, the nap is going to be Bay Bridge in the 237 at York. I'm adamant this lad is a group performer. He's won both of his starts by a cumulative 9 lengths, including dismissing King Frankel with some ease last time out. He hasn't been seen for 147 days, which is a slight concern, but I think he'll be able to run well fresh. He's still very unexposed. The soft ground's a little bit of an issue because he's, again, unexposed on the soft ground. but I think he'll be able to handle it. I think a mark of 105 does underestimate his ability, and hopefully he'll win this and go on to group honours after that. So hopefully he goes off around 2-1, 5-2, and hopefully he'll be bang there at the finish. And the next best is going to be Dubawi Legend at 16-1 in the Dewhurst. That's going to be 0.5 points each way. Now, I think he'll be able to throw the gauntlet down to Native Trail. Of course, Charlie Appleby rates Caribus higher than Native Trail, which is slightly worrying considering he's 4-6 for this. Hugo Palmer is adamant that Dubawi Legend is a Group 1 performer. He was very impressive at Doncaster on debut, failed to back that up in the Acomb Stakes, but we usually have some funny results in the Acomb Stakes. And of course, Royal Patronage has boosted that form by winning the Royal Lodge Cinch, in which at first glance did look like a poor Acomb Stakes, I think it's fair to say. So Dubawi Legend 16-1 for that. I'm a little bit worried about the AP O'Brien Glownthorne after a lengthy break, but hopefully at 16-1 each way, he may just be able to sneak a place.
Hello guys, Jake Price here, and my first selection for Saturday, it comes in the 1 o'clock at Hexham, and that's Dr. Richard Newland on the wild side. Now on the wild side, won a good bumper back in the day where he beat Stimulating Song, was now 134 hurdler. He disappointed on his hurdles debut on heavy ground in January 2020, but then he came back at this very Hexham meeting last season, and he ended up beating Nala to Prada by 4 lengths. Now that filly is rated 130, so she's a very useful type, and he beat her quite easily that day. And he then came back to the same track just 15 days later, and he won again under a penalty, this time winning even easier. It was like 6.5 lengths this time, but Charlie Hammond never had to touch him. Connections did chuck him in the deep end after that for a Class 2 handicap hurdle at the Ladbrokes Trophy meeting. This was stepped up to 2 mile 4 furlong, and it was won by Flash of Steel, who's a 146 horse, so it kind of tells you about the level that he was in. And yeah, he couldn't really handle it. But he was running off a mark of 128 that day, and the handicap was giving him a right chance here on the handicap chase debut, because he's dropped him all the way down to 120. Now, obviously, he hasn't been seen since that movie run, but that might be explained by the fact he's had a wind operation over the summer. And again, I think he's just always looked like a chaser. So off a mark of 120, I'm hoping he can go well on his chase debut. So my second selection comes in the form of Sancy, who runs in the 405 at Chepstow. So this horse actually won at this meeting last season, where he won the listed novice chase. He won that by 13 lengths, beating Paint the Dream that day. Now, Paint the Dream is also going to be running on Saturday, and it's actually worked out that Sancy will be receiving £5 from him. They were run off levels this time last year, so there shouldn't be really any way that form could be reversed. But Sancy did go off the boil a bit after that, so he ran in the Grade 2 Rising Stars novices chase at Wincanton next time out, and he was sent off a short favourite. He looked like the best horse in the race going into it. But he was all but pulled up in the home straight, and Harry Cogden reported that he had a respiratory issue. So obviously after that, you'd expect him to go for a wind operation, but they didn't. They gave him a 119-day break, and he ran in 3 handicaps in the spring. So I don't know if this was a plan to try and get his mark down, because it was on 149. But he disappointed in the Greatwood Gold Cup when he was held up. He then went off like a scolded cat a month later over the same course and distance, where he was took a 15-length lead at one point, and he only came back to them when he made a mistake at the 4th last. He then went to Ayr, and he disappointed over 2 miles. I think you can forgive him that at the end of the season. But crucially, they've now given him that wind operation, and I think that's really going to help him this year. Off a mark of 142 on his reappearance, which he's really good at. He's won at this Chepstow meeting twice in the past. I think he's got a good chance. And Paul Nicholls obviously loves the meeting, and everyone's going to overhype that this weekend. But he has a solid chance. So Sancy in the 405 at Chepstow, and on the wild side in the 1 o'clock at Hexham. Good luck, everyone.
Hello. To kick off the head-to-head Twitter series, I'm going to have 2 bets this weekend, a 2-point win and a 1-point win, with the first one coming at Hexham in the 245. That's going to be Justatenner for Tristan Davison. I believe this horse he's done a lot of running over the summer. He's run on good ground plenty of times, but I think the soft ground here will play into his favours in the smaller field. We'll really see him come back into himself. He's currently 5-1. I think he'll be a lot shorter on the day, but I'm hoping he's juicy enough price to get the 2-point win on him. I was really taken with his form when he beat Highland Hunter last season on heavy ground at Ayr, and he's now down to a mark of 119, which I think is far too low for a horse of his ability. And then the next horse that comes from Chepstow is Exelerator Express for Neil Mulholland. This horse has also been running over the summer, but it's been improving no end. And I think that he has got further improvement over 3 miles to show. He's won 5 of his 10 chases so far. And I think at 3 miles, he just showed last time out that when Sam asked him to go, he had plenty of stamina there. He's currently 5-1 as well, so I think he'll be a good bet. And I think a lot of the horses in behind him won't like the challenge, and there's a lot who are coming out for their first run of the season where he's ready to go. I can see him going off strong favourite as well. Hopefully the price is still there again, but he's currently 5-1 as well. So there'll be my 2 selections: 2-point win at Hexham on Justatenner and a 1-point win at Chepstow on Exelerator Express. Good luck.
All right. First week of this tipping competition on Twitter. Thanks to Willow and all the other lads for getting it all organised. For this weekend, obviously, before I address anything, very lucky to be have been invited to the McCoy Awards this evening. This is on Thursday night, and my 2 tips for Saturday's racing. My nap comes at Fairyhouse in the 3:05 race, Mare's Maiden Hurdle, Jeremy's Jewel for Paul Nolan, so that's a 2-point win. And then my next best comes in the Silver Trophy at Chepstow, Gowel Road, 0.5 point each way on the Tristan Davis charge in the Silver Trophy. So best of luck, and hopefully we land a winner between the two of them.